your mind even, or is there a leader that you're able to share with us, or is there a leader that you're not able to share with us?
Yeah, it's definitely not a leader. I think those guys have time to separate themselves, and they have taken most of the first team reps. Partially because of them being able to retain information and knowing what to do, and also taking command. It's still going to be a long process, like we said from day one. I know everybody gets antsy and wants an answer immediately, and I wish I could give you one, wish we could give you one, but it'll be a process to play through to the fall.
What kind of progress have you seen from the two of them from the start of spring to now?
Yeah, I think just being able to be more vocal. I think obviously last year when you're competing for a spot, but obviously still probably in the back of your mind believing I'm going to be the backup to Brad is still difficult to really kind of go out and sell out every single snap, which you should have that mentality. But I don't forget what it's like to be a player, and that's sometimes not realistic. But I think knowing that it's a wide open job and you have an opportunity, and it's going to be on you to decide whether or not you step up to the challenge and let somebody else beat you out, has made those guys kind of answer the bell a little bit more.
What's the on-field quality that's helped Evan rise from a group of 5 to now being perhaps a co-leader at this point?
Yeah, I just think it's demeanor, and you said co-leader, I didn't say co-leader, but his just demeanor kind of when he handles stuff on the field, and being able to see really with the first scrimmage, how he takes some shots and can get back up and have a smile on his face and enjoy the game and not be frightened by the moment, because obviously you want a guy who can command the huddle, and the rest of the guys in the huddle can look at him and know that he's not going to panic, I'm not going to panic, we're all in this together, and we can keep competing together. So I think that seeing that from him and it being a consistent deal has really helped him out in this spot.
How much do you have to weigh maybe a quarterback being a leader versus maybe the guy who's maybe the best quarterback? I mean, how do you balance that?
Well, I mean, obviously you want the both. Both guys to be, the guy in that spot to be a leader and also be the best quarterback. But I think a lot of guys have leadership qualities, and you can talk about him being able to, command the huddle and speak fully and take charge. But the true test of a leader is who's following you. I mean, you can have all the qualities, but are the guys running around you, they trust you, they believe in you, and are they willing to play with you in a cohesive unit? But I think throughout this process, we'll be able to see more as we put those guys through different scenarios, who kind of comes out on top.
Could Jack do much today? And will he be able to Saturday? Will he participate Saturday, do you anticipate?
I can't answer that question.
Okay. As far as receivers and tight ends, who, Thomas, do you think has made the biggest jump? What names come to mind?
Our receiver-wise, definitely by far Darrell Langham. I think obviously last year, coming in, new staff, seeing a guy with that type of size, and I mean, he's not the most dynamic from a speed standpoint, but thinking he could be a bully-type receiver because he has the body to. And I think it was obviously more of a mental deal for him last year, just being able to believe that he could play as big as what he was and having confidence. And he's been, a great surprise in my opinion when it comes to the receiver room. He's probably stood out almost every single time we step on the football field, playing like he's, a big man and not like he's 5'8", like he's my height trying to play receiver. Use your size, use your length, use that ability to be able to overpower some smaller DBs and make some plays.
And tight end?
Tight end wise, I think Michael Irvin's probably made the biggest jump. And Chris Herndon is being consistent. I think he's somewhat of a quiet guy. We're trying to get him to open up more, but that's just his natural personality, which is fine. But I think Michael Irvin's made the biggest jump when it comes to the tight end room of being consistent about knowing what to do, how to get lined up, and executing the stuff we ask those guys to do.
Thomas, when we spoke to you earlier this spring, we asked you about balancing the carries for Mark, knowing how thin you were, and you said he doesn't want to be babied, and he said that actually yesterday. How do you think he's kind of handled, and he said he's worked on his blocking, he said, how do you think he's handled the challenge of this spring?
Bless you. I think he's handled it well. I think obviously being a playmaker, being a tailback, you want guys who want the ball in their hands, but also aren't, so selfish that they go into panic mode and shut down when they don't get the football. And I think he's finding that correct balance. I think at times we're helping him, through that, because I understand he probably wants the ball 25 times a day every time we scrimmage, and obviously giving him a chance to be able to work on his pass protection, which in my opinion separates the average backs from the great ones. Because a lot of guys you find across this country can carry the ball, but if you want to have a chance to be great in this offense, to have a chance to go to the next level and be great at that level, you better be able to protect the quarterbacks. He's been really consistent with that, and Mark is a perfectionist in many ways, which obviously helps him be as good as he is right now.
2 more.
Has Deontay shown enough with consistency, with conditioning, where you're convinced that he's going to be a factor for you this fall, or are you still unsure?
Convinced. I won't say I'm convinced. I think he's gotten better. I think he's taking steps in the right direction. I think he's gotten mentally tougher, physically tougher. I think his body has changed some. He's getting in better shape, but it's still a process to get him to be where he should be and reaching his full potential, which is going to be a daily battle with him. But I think he's committed to the process. He's working at it. But say 100% convinced, I can't say that fully right now.
Going back to Mark Wall, maybe the answer is blocking, but what part of his game do you feel like he has improved the most, either through drills or other things you guys have done, if it's not just the pure carries?
You know, I remember somebody asked me that question at the beginning of spring ball about, has he gotten better, what he can get better at, and just because he does a really good job of attending the detail and trying to do everything exactly the way you coach him to do. He's gotten better really in every phase of his game. I think he's a natural route runner. I think he catches the ball well out of the backfield. I think he can get better at times of being more physical in pass protection, but he knows exactly who to block, and he knows, coverage-wise, defense-wise, where they're coming from, so he can play faster. And even with the running the football in his hands, he's gotten more comfortable playing behind his pass, so he can be more effective, take on more contact, and break more tackles. So I think his overall game has gotten better.
It's still a productive spring for him then.
Absolutely, of course. I think so.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Tom.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.